All right. Welcome back to another Elevated Marketing Dad podcast. Brenna and I are both wearing pink today. It must be a pink day. I just thought of I was gonna curl my hair today, and it didn't. I don't know if I turned off my curling iron. I'll have to get to that after the show.
That's giving me anxiety.
Okay, we're going to talk about something that we did a year ago. We talked about the increase of brand searches, and perhaps we were early, or I think we were definitely right on track. And I think, business owners and marketers, we need to think about how brand searches is definitely making a big comeback.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of what we said last year still stands, but it's just changing. Everything is rapidly changing. That's no surprise. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, the term, as we do in marketing, we come up with terms and we confuse things. So we're going to try to make this a simple topic to talk about today, but it is based on rooted in zero click marketing, which is still like a really good term, although zero click marketing is nothing new. Like there was zero click way before. I think we just had to come up with something to explain the phenomenon that was happening. But the latest phenomenon, so to kind of do like what's happening right now, and you guys will have to tell me in the comments if I explain this simple enough. In Google search results, and we'll explain it from Google search results, and I will explain it from LLMs like ChatGPT. So we'll start with Google. It's called Google's AI snippets, and you are asking questions just like we do as consumers, and you get back an answer, and they are pulling back articles that we as humans have written and answered the subject, and they're basically summarizing our content. They are giving us credit in the form of, sometimes there are links that are on there, and sometimes there is our more prevalent logo that is there. It's not as forward, but they're making sure that the consumer gets their answer fairly quickly. Um, and so at the end of the day, though, if somebody wants to buy from you, they do need to, for the most part, either walk in the door, pick up the phone, fill out a form that's on your website, start a chat. Like they either have to go to the website online or they have to go to the store offline. But what is the center of all of that is your brand and who helped solve the problem that people had. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think you explained that pretty well. And everything we talk about today, and now especially so, it's all going back to that brand search and that brand visibility. And I think maybe where you're going with that is brand searches are still increasing, and maybe they're increasing now more than they have, let's say, even a year ago.
Yeah, because people are getting information from more and more sources, and things are becoming more fragmented. The other place that people are going are the Chat GPTs, the Perplexities, the Anthropics.
Yeah.
And when they go there, what is also happening is the same thing, is like off to the side is a brand is mentioned or like to further research to go further. And so
Maps.
what's that?
Sometimes maps too. I've
Yeah.
noticed that.
Yep. And so it's a that but when they want to actually solve their human problem, and a robot can't, handle it for them, they need to go to the physical person, and that's where your brand matters. Now, we're not going to talk about like how to develop your brand or anything like that, I think we're going to do that in the next show and really talk about like unique selling propositions. So we'll get to that. Per our usual, how do you measure this, Brenna?
Well, there, I mean, like you said earlier, we've talked about this a year ago, and those measuring tactics are still true. So maybe we go through those and then we can bring up, maybe what's new in terms of measuring that. Um, I would say maybe starting with Google Search Console, which is a free tool. We've talked about it, definitely use it. But essentially, what you might see in there is more of your business name is being searched. And now you would look at that through impressions. And if you're seeing that increase there, then that's likely a pretty good hint that people are searching by your brand because they've seen you elsewhere.
Yep. Yep. And then they'll see you. You could, so you have to like keep going down that path.
Mm-hmm.
If your impressions are going up, you might not see the click
Mm-hmm.
because they are searching, they're getting their answer from the AI overviews, they're not ready to buy yet.
Yep.
But when they are ready to buy, then you're going to see the clicks in the brand name.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're seeing an increase in impressions, but not necessarily the matching clicks.
Yep.
Hence, more of the zero click, except for what's changed is you are going to see the click eventually, or you're going to see the person like coming in person or just making the phone call because they got your phone number off of some other listing or directly in the search result as they can get now.
Yep. Well, then there's also Google My Business that
Yeah.
maybe plays a role in that.
Yeah, and they can get your email now through ChatGPTs and stuff. I don't know if you guys all know this, but like so like it's shifting. But let's go back and remind people of some of the other ways that it has not changed. Maybe you can talk about social media and then I'll go to ads.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good place. With social media, we've always kind of grouped that in with zero click marketing. And while that still stands, you are still going to see more brand searches from social media. And I'm talking specifically organic social media. And I mean, really, this may be diving too deep. I mean, that's kind of why we talk about search everywhere optimization. That definitely plays a role. Um, I think I'm trying to keep that simple.
Yeah, well, that's because the platforms are trying to keep you on there and they're trying to do their own AI and own answering with their own AI tools.
Yeah.
And so if you spend time on there, then they can sell you more ads. And so that's why, we're mindlessly scrolling short form videos and checking
Yeah.
out. And so you'll get more reach and you'll get more in front of more people, which is a good thing. And that is brand marketing, but not everybody clicks from watching those videos.
Yep.
In turn will go Google you later by name, and then you'll go look in Google Analytics. This is the kicker, and you're going to see it come in as search or SEO, and you're going to be like, I need to put more money into SEO efforts.
Yep.
Yes, you do, but you need to redefine what SEO is. It's search everywhere optimization, which is directly tied to your brand.
Yep.
Like that's like full circle there.
It is. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think in a roundabout way, that's always been the case, but it's just amplified now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
you've got to pay attention to it.
And so in ads, And there's two different like things you can do. Like there's brand searches with Google Ads. So I can run a keyword only campaign and go after the name of my company. And I only recommend this for people if other people are going after my name or my name is not showing up in search results. Other people are for numerous reasons, and I'm not going to go through all those reasons.
Yeah.
So that is there, and then there's a shift of ads, whether it is. I'll start with Google Performance Max, where you have a mixture of YouTube, display, you have Gmail, you have Discover, and you have search. Well, those types of marketing really are branding up at the top. And it's really like the audience targeting is getting to people who should be in the market to buy your products and services, either based by their search behavior and all different things. You can read our blog post on that. But that is some heavy branding with some like end of the funnel stuff because end of the funnel has gotten too expensive. Then there's traditional advertising, which is still good, but it's evolved to connected TVs and podcast ads, and they're all reinforcing, brand messaging. And how do you measure the impact of those? Well, you measure it by brand lift of people searching for you by name in Google Search Console. And I want to go down one last one, but I'm going to save that for the end. I'm going to write it down. It just came out, and I'm going to let you go into influencer marketing.
Yes, which we kind of know that as a double-edged sword in a way. Now, we want human interaction. And especially now more than ever, I think we're kind of entering a phase where there are so many automated things everywhere we look. And so when you have that human interaction, AKA an influencer, it feels a little bit more of like a personal touch, and it is. And it is effective, but it's definitely still got to be, it still has to resonate with your brand, which I know we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about that. But that brand visibility still is tied to those influencer marketing tactics, because while it's not a direct click there either, usually they're going to start searching for you. Susie Joe on TikTok, she influenced me to buy a shirt. Well, let me go look up that brand. Okay. And it kind of trickles down from there.
Well, Susie Joe is also a sales rep, and Susie Joe influenced me to buy product A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So that also is relevant, and it ties into what you're saying, how people want to talk with humans because they're not sure if they're talking to people and on line that are real anymore. So like influencer marketing is a little bit going into sales as well. Like that's where it started.
It is. Yeah.
What about like public relations and brand searches? So getting awards and stuff like that.
Yeah. And bad PR. There's no bad PR, right?
No, there's not. PR is PR. We're not PR experts. We will not pretend to be. This will be one of our smallest sections, but
yes. But I think you're right, though, where that really plays a role is awards or maybe community involvement. And, you might be a sponsor for, say, a local event that's happening. Maybe it's a run. Yeah. And while they're going to see your name everywhere, they're going to see some banners. Again, it's still kind of tied back into that zero click, but they're going to search you. And maybe you're handing out flyers or business cards, and that's one way. But
yeah. Or you're doing webinars or networking or live shows. And when you're doing all of those things, you're making people at least know that you exist.
Yep.
And then you're just kind of putting them into the funnel of potential people who would want to buy. But what is the I feel like that's a little out of order what we had before, the backbone of brand visibility. So actually, let's save that one for the very last and talk about one of your favorites, email marketing.
Yes. And I mean, with email marketing, there's always been that brand exposure when they've gotten into your list. So they know who you are. But it's still one of those basic and needs to be a consistent form of communication to your audience. Now, they're not always going to click in your emails. We want them to, but they won't. And so, they may search you later. Maybe they're a chronic deleter of their inbox. And so they've seen it, they've opened it, but they're going to delete it, get rid of it. But you're still top of mind. They're going to go search you.
Yeah.
I would say that's about where that goes.
Yep. Yep. Then there's, just referral programs with people and brand partnerships that your company like aligns with, and like, you're swapping leads, and that is just keeping it real.
Yep. Yep.
So second to last before we go into the backbone of brand visibility, hot take. So the AI necklace being created by the guy that created the revolutionary iPod
Mhm.
from Apple, and his engineering team, and ChatGPT or OpenAI. OpenAI bought them. They had a separate AI company, and they're developing a necklace that people would walk around similar to the Meta glasses. Only this would be, you could tuck it in your shirt, crazy or non-crazy. Prototypes are out, but now everybody is brand, like, who do they want to align with? Everybody is like brand ambassadors even more, and everything is being recorded and synthesized back. And that's interesting.
It is. And it kind of,
If it happens.
yeah, to me, it makes me think of like undercover FBI. I mean,
Like, unless I'm sitting around a fire and, like, how people would collect phones, like at the dinner table and put them in the center, like maybe we're collecting necklaces. Like, hey, I need to know what's in your shirt. What's got there? Are we recording? I mean, Brenna and I are always recording, so I'm pretty true to who I am. But sitting around a campfire, I'm going to be slightly different.
For sure.
Okay, so I feel like you know this one well. We both do. We
Yeah.
talk about it a lot. Like, the backbone of all marketing is what, and how does that tie to brand searches?
Content. Now, we know there are many different forms of content, but where that maybe directly ties into is with SEO. They do definitely go hand in hand. They're not going without. And so,
Search everywhere optimization.
yeah, absolutely.
I care about you because you're creating content.
Yeah, and if you're those content producing machines, like we hope you are, then that brand visibility really is going to be much more apparent because you're covering the common questions, you're covering all these topics that are being searched. Maybe they're not being searched yet, but you're still covering it. You're just these content producing machines. You need to be.
Look at that. We went 19 minutes. I feel like I'm going to have a really good cup of coffee as I rewrite this blog post and put it out. But it'll be a good update. I'm glad we did this topic a year ago. It's coming back around. So I think that really showcases that it's kind of evergreen content. Let's come back and do a little bit, a section of brand, which is unique selling proposition. Let's talk about that next. And just continue to go back to like evergreen type content. So if you enjoyed today's show, we certainly have a newsletter over on our website at elevatedmarketing.solutions, or you can follow me, Jennifer Denny, on LinkedIn. I put out almost all of the articles there, but if you really want to be notified of all the new articles, you need to join our email list, because I'm kind of picking and choosing which ones make it to LinkedIn with our newsletter over there. So, all right, everyone, take care.